just heard the loudest blast in my life. I told him, you guys didn't have to do this. You guys scared my son, my baby, and myself.
ICE and Tennessee troopers are making their presence known throughout Nashville. ICE telling Fox 17 News they are focused on removing criminals for public safety.
ICE agents stormed a Nashville Costco and arrested hundreds of undocumented migrants in a single morning. Investigators say forged IDs, some tied to cartel networks, were everywhere. Shoppers described exits slamming shut, a convoy of buses pulling up outside, and families separated in minutes. The raid felt both precise and overwhelming. But here's the thing. This raid didn't just sweep up workers. It sent families into hiding, left kids without parents, and exposed a terrifying pipeline of cartel-forged IDs running through U.S. cities. Now, you'll see why this wasn't just a raid, but a warning shot, and the fallout is only beginning. A few weeks ago, shoppers walked through the Costco doors in Antioch, Nashville, looking for bulk groceries, cheap gas, and a normal Sunday morning. Well, this morning would be anything but.
Folks in the crowd tell us there was a law enforcement presence at the gathering Sunday. It's still unclear what and if they had any involvement in the detaining process.
By mid-morning, all Costco exits were sealed. Federal agents flooded the aisles. What looked like shoppers were actually undercover ICE surveillance units waiting for the signal. When it came, they moved fast. To some in Nashville, it was surgical. The raid was carried out in silence, without warning, designed to shock. To others, it was terrifying. A show of force that shattered the trust of an entire community in one morning.
Gilliam says regardless if people are illegal here or not, the fear of detainment without cause stirs up fear, and people are feeling that energy.
I feel like a lot of the arrests are illegal, and there's no due process in it.
Inside, employees and customers alike were swept into ID checks. Outside, sirens wailed as buses rolled up.
Sirens blare as ICE agents and Tennessee Highway Patrol officers guide a bus believed to be filled with detainees taken into custody in Nashville's Antioch area overnight, some knocking on the windows from inside the bus.
That image is what stuck. It wasn't just ICE flexing its power. It was the quiet realization that in one sweep, hundreds of lives had been upended. And there was another realization. Nashville had been picked by ICE for a very specific reason. The raid on Costco wasn't random at all. In fact, ICE officials insist they knew exactly where to strike because the data points them to where the crime spikes are.
Illegal immigrants are getting access to fake IDs to stay in our country.
Agents say months of surveillance revealed a steady flow of forged IDs connected to migrant labor markets in Nashville. The documents weren't the sloppy counterfeits you might imagine. Those are too easy to spot. No, these ones were sophisticated enough to pass casual checks, fueling what investigators call a shadow economy.
Driver's license, passport, social security card. Those documents just some of the proof you're in our country legally. We got exclusive access to the Mobile County Sheriff's Office disturbing evidence that illegals are living among us.
At the Mobile County Sheriff's Office, a wall of fake IDs shows the scope of the problem.
Fake licenses, passports, social security, and international ID cards handed over by people trying to fake their citizenship.
Some migrants carried obvious fakes, but others managed to secure legitimate state-issued IDs through loopholes.
There are states that are very lenient on how they can get driver's license and ID cards, and they're trying to get there.
Officials say the majority of fraudulent documents seized in recent raids are tied back to Texas. Others traced to North Carolina, where ID policies allow illegal workers to get state cards that appear authentic. This fake ID paper trail is what brought ICE to Costco, but it wasn't about one store. It was about a supply chain of lies. As raids spread throughout Antioch and beyond, the fear hit downtown Nashville too. Broadway's famous honky-tonks closed kitchens after rumors of ICE targeting undocumented workers.
Rumors of ICE agents targeting these businesses and their kitchens, causing at least 2 to close.
Business owners admitted the temptation is simple. Cheap labor keeps doors open.
Business owners are faced with a challenge quite frequently where they're looking to hire and keep a good service or a good business running, and in order to keep costs at budget, they're going to look for labor that is actually affordable.
But that decision also put them in the crosshairs, and now the fear is palpable in cities around the whole country. With raids rattling businesses and families alike, investigators say the real winners are the cartels, the ones supplying the fake IDs that fueled it all. And those cartels weren't just dabbling in paperwork, they were running a business empire as ruthless as their trade. When ICE agents cracked open wallets and glove compartments in Nashville, they found a network going deeper than they imagined.
The majority of the fake ones we find are coming out of Texas.
Investigators say many of the documents traced back to hubs in Texas and North Carolina, meaning states where migrants could either buy fakes or exploit loopholes to obtain legal IDs illegally. Officials in Mobile County say the wall of seized IDs, stacked with driver's licenses, passports, and social security cards, is proof that fake identity has become its own black market. And it gets worse. According to recent reports, cartel-linked crews are robbing homes in rich cities like LA or New York to get away with real IDs.
They took our passports, our social security cards, all our jewelry that they could find.
Mari, not her real name, is afraid to share her identity in case they come back because they already have.
With a real passport number or a stolen social security card, counterfeiters don't just create a document, they hijack a life. Bills, bank accounts, and even medical records can be tied to these stolen IDs, making it almost impossible for law enforcement to separate a forged worker from an American citizen, not to say the trouble the victim goes through to get another ID and not have their other assets stolen.
Sometimes it takes a search with special software.
It's a reminder of what people try to get away with.
Behind those IDs, law enforcement says, are cartels who realized paper could be just as profitable as narcotics. The same supply routes that move now move forged citizenship. Each fake license, each stolen social security number becomes a ticket to jobs, housing, and survival. That is, until a raid like Nashville rips it all away. And the bigger twist came after the raids, when entire neighborhoods froze, businesses shuttered, and families vanished indoors. ICE may have uncovered a black market in fake IDs, but what it triggered was the power of fear itself. After the Costco raid, the shockwaves didn't stop at the store's sliding doors. Across Nashville and far beyond Tennessee, the first consequence was arrests. The second one was silence.
What happens when an entire city essentially comes to a standstill because many of its residents are afraid to be outside?
Recent immigration enforcement activity in this part of San Jose has put neighborhood families on edge.
All the immigration stuff is pretty scary because a lot of students don't know what's going to happen to their families during school, and they get worried.
Overfelt High serves a large immigrant population, and teachers here are doing what they can to support the students.
And they're scared that they might come to our school, even though our school is protecting us and they're telling us that they have our backs and stuff.
Advocates say schools saw drops in attendance, restaurants lost workers overnight, families refused to leave their homes, even for groceries, terrified that one knock on the door could end with handcuffs.
This was the chaotic scene of an operation by Homeland Security investigations as they swept through this restaurant at the corner of Beach and 30th Street. Heavily armed agents can be seen in full tactical gear as cars blocked the streets off. In this video, you can hear loud booms and sirens as community members surrounded their cars. Pedro Rios with the American Friends Service Committee was there and watched as people were taken away in handcuffs.
The agents fired sound grenades, flashbang grenades at the crowd.
Claire Cody works at Buena Forcheta. She had just clocked in for her shift at about 4:30 Friday afternoon when she says several men in trucks went inside saying they had a search warrant. Claire says agents put employees in handcuffs to check their ID.
There was no stopping them. There was 30 ICE. There was 30 of them. I mean, we were just all in shock. They just came at a time where it was so unexpected.
In California, the picture was even starker. Huntington Park, a working-class city in Los Angeles County, became a ghost town after repeated raids.
Huntington Park, California, a working-class community of over 50,000 people, now feels it has a bullseye on its back because of ramped-up ICE raids.
I just heard the loudest blast in my life. I told him, you guys didn't have to do this. You guys scared my son, my baby, and myself. We were on the floor on the hallway. It was horrible.
visibly still shaken. I spoke with Jenny Ramirez about an hour and a half after federal agents forced their way into her home here on Flower Street in Highland Park a little after 6 a.m. Agents could be seen using what appeared to be explosive breaching equipment to get inside and even sent a drone in. Ramirez says nobody knocked, and before she knew it, at least 10 agents rushed into her home with several others around the perimeter. Ramirez says she was told they were looking for her boyfriend, and that when she asked why, they wouldn't tell her.
Residents described the once bustling commercial strip as a ghost town.
I remember Pacific Boulevard was always packed, but since the raids have been going on, it's a ghost town. I don't even know how these places are surviving.
I was scared. I'm not gonna lie to you, I have never gone through this.
It all unfolded about 6. Half a dozen vehicles with heavily armed officers rolled up and came to her door.
Look out to the window and you just see like 10 men with rifles, and I'm like, whoa, like, am I dreaming or is this real?
Please, just before you do anything, please make sure that the people are not getting hurt. There's children. There's innocent people. I know you're against criminals, but we are not criminals. Not the whole world is criminals. I'm just begging for mercy to please let it end.
Businesses started locking their doors during operating hours, telling customers to knock before being let in, hoping to avoid ICE slipping inside.
We see stores that are open, but they remain with the gates locked. So this is another way of the stores protecting themselves and their customers from unwanted interactions with ICE.
This wasn't just about detaining undocumented workers. It was about showing whole communities what happens when you cross the line. The ICE arrests hit hundreds, but the message hit thousands more. Fear had become the weapon, and the problem is, not everyone taken off the streets had crossed a line.
We are a target for them because we know that they are stereotyping and they're racially profiling us, and they're targeting folks that look like me.
Community leaders say the raids left people who were here legally just as terrified, afraid their appearance alone could make them a suspect. Many report being stopped and checked for no reason other than their skin color. So for ICE supporters, the fear they're spreading makes sense. But for critics, it was the proof that enforcement is now breaking the law, and some cities in the process. ICE called the Nashville raid a model operation.
The operation was labeled surgical for a reason. It was fast, efficient, and effective.
Officials pointed out that not a single shot was fired, no one was hurt, and every detainee was taken quietly. To them, it was proof that the crackdown could work without violence. Governor Bill Lee went further, praising the raid as proof that Tennessee would not serve as a sanctuary.
President Trump was very clear that he was going to work to remove those folks from our country. Americans elected him to do that.
Supporters echoed that this wasn't cruelty, but accountability, restoring order.
This ICE activity that's happening and that has happened in Nashville is exactly what that's about. It is about an effort to remove criminals from the streets.
The consequences are huge, no matter who you ask. But huge can have very different meanings. For every supporter calling it surgical, there were kids who came home to find a parent gone, restaurants losing entire crews in a single day, and court dockets bursting under the weight of thousands of new cases.
We begin tonight in Los Angeles, where Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents have intensified workplace raids, detaining more than 300 people since Friday. The arrests have drawn sustained protests outside federal buildings, now guarded by National Guard troops.
Critics push back that many taken had no violent history, no criminal record, only forged papers that cartels had supplied, and yet they were dragged away violently, thrown in cells that human rights activists call inhumane.
Right now, there are almost 49,000 people in detention centers, but that's about 20% more than ICE's official capacity. There's overcrowding, and rights groups have described conditions in some places as inhumane.
And while migrants vanished, the cartels profited twice, once from selling the fake IDs, and again from the chaos left behind.
Look. But I'm telling you, the warning we're sending is we're not going to tolerate people attacking our officers.
You guys cannot take her just because you guys want to.
The golden age of America has only just begun.
that chaos wasn't invisible to the public. An August poll showed support for Trump's deportation push sliding from 59% in February to 49%. Approval among Republicans stayed high, but nationally, momentum was already cracking, especially with so many people speaking out against ICE on the news right now.
I just want my dad to come home safe.
Emotional pleas from family members demanding the release of loved ones.
So while ICE boasted about clean precision, critics argued that fear and division were now the real legacy, a cost that communities would keep paying long after the buses rolled out of Costco's lot. But if you ask one or two ICE chiefs, they'll say the cost is worth it, because under every arrest, there's a deeper fight. Was the Costco raid really about safety, or was it a warning shot? ICE framed it as restoring order, but the deeper investigators dug, the more the lines blurred. If forged licenses and stolen passports were being funneled in by cartel networks, then workplace raids had a greater purpose than deportations. They were part of America's cartel war, and Trump famously signed the order designating cartels as terrorists as soon as he was elected a second time.
But we have to do what's right. They're killing our people.
Critics say the raids terrorize families. Supporters argue they protect sovereignty. But both sides now face a hard question. What happens when the illegal worker ICE finds isn't just holding a fake ID, but working under cartel orders? Officials admit these paper trails don't stop at exploited labor. The same forged documents that let a dishwasher get hired at a kitchen can also slip in gang members, fugitives, or worse.
So we're looking at one shipment, $2,000 worth of fake IDs.
Exactly.
They are incredible fake driver's licenses.
There we go, Illinois driver's license.
Smuggled into this country by high-tech forgery rings that have mastered the details so well, it could lead to critical security threats.
Holograms and everything. Yep.
One of these is fake, the other is real.
These are very, very good. We have hundreds of boxes of these. They're all containing counterfeit driver's licenses.
The IDs cost about $150, smuggled inside boxes of tea sets and jewelry from China.
And as long as the cartels profit, they'll keep flooding the market with names, numbers, and entire stolen identities. So where does that leave Nashville and states? We already know this raid wasn't a one-off show of force. Grocery aisles, kitchens, and construction sites across the country are being flooded by ICE agents looking for illegals. And if IDs are already cartel-linked, the next raid might not uncover just workers. It might expose cartel bosses hiding in plain sight. And when that day comes, the fallout won't stop at a Costco parking lot.